So I was having an interesting conversation on Twitter Spaces today. By the way, make sure that y'all join these Twitter Spaces, bro, because I'm gonna be honest, they are some of the funniest things that I've been a part of on Twitter. This is the greatest thing that they came up with. It's basically a situation where you hop in a call on Twitter and everybody gets a chance to speak and y'all are just arguing like anything. Anime takes, life takes, anything, literally. With that being said, make sure you go to my pinned comment and follow me on Twitter because, yo, these Twitter Spaces are hilarious, son, like, on God. But anyways, we're in these Twitter Spaces and we're talking about the SSG. Now, the homie Trip feels like the SSG isn't necessarily supposed to match the power of the Warlords because the Warlords' power was so varied. Other people were like, no, if it didn't match the power of the Warlords, it wouldn't make any sense. So that is what we're here to talk about today. How I think the SSG versus the Warlord fights will go. Will they have Marine help with them? Will the world government get involved? Who's going to get captured? Who isn't going to get captured? All of these things will be talked about in today's video. But of course, before we get to that, make sure that you like the video at some point if you do like it. And if you want more One Piece content like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you don't miss an upload. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the main topic of this conversation was the SSG and if they're supposed to match the might of the Warlords or if they're supposed to just oppose the Warlords. That was like the nuance that we were arguing. Now, of course, they're supposed to oppose the Warlords. That's just a simple objective fact. The thing that we're trying to specifically break apart is it meant to match their power? I'm in the opinion that it was meant to match what they had with Warlords because the Warlords' power did vary, yes. You had the very high end of the spectrum like Mihawk, like your Boas, Doflamingos. Then you had some lower end of the spectrum people like Buggy, Gecko Moria, and then everyone else that's in between. The problem arises when talking about the power of the Warlords because how can you really specifically give them like a power level when you have someone like a Buggy who is, you feel me, super Yonko level? I'm just kidding, you feel me? Yo, shout out to Buggy. But when you have somebody like Moria, Buggy, and then you have somebody like Mihawk, it's tough. It's hard to put a finger on where the power level is. You really can't do it because they just vary so much. It isn't something like the admirals that have like a prerequisite power level to be an admiral. There isn't one, which is why I believe influence has a ton to do with being a warlord. Buggy became a warlord simply because he was on Roger's crew at one point. Just because of that, they allowed him on that crew. They find out that Ace is Roger's son. They immediately tried to make him a warlord. Like, influence is a huge deal with this warlord thing. But my whole take on it is that the SSG was meant to at least rival the strength of the former warlords, because if not, they wouldn't have abolished the warlords in the first place. One of the biggest concerns was, can the SSG match up to the might that the warlords added? If they really didn't feel like they could, or if they felt like the SSG couldn't add up to what the warlords did, they would have never even allowed it to be abolished. The fact that it's abolished is enough proof for me that the SSG is very powerful. Now, we have no idea what the SSG is. That's not what this video is about. I've talked about that before and speculated on it, but we're here to talk about the matchups because this is probably going to be a big thing post Wano. When we get into the Reverie stuff, when we get into the SSG things after Wano is concluded, we're probably going to be shocked and find out that there have been people that have been captured, defeated, and of course it's probably going to happen off screen. It's Oda, you know, no offense to Oda, he's the GOAT, but he off screens some stuff. He doesn't have time to show every single nuanced thing. He just doesn't. He has a lot of things to cover in a short amount of time, specifically if he's trying to get this done within that 4 to 5 year range, like he's been saying. Now, knowing Oda, he might get 4 or 5 years and then he'd be like, I got another 5 in me. I don't know. We honestly have no idea what Echiro Oda is going to do. My point is, he has a lot of story to cover in a short amount of time, and he doesn't have that many pages to be drawing out, you know, stuff like a random side fight between Boa and Kobe. Speaking of Boa and Kobe, let's talk about that first. Who do you think wins that fight? Take a second, comment down below. Who do you think wins between Boa and Kobe? Now, on both sides of the spectrum, both individuals are powerful. Boa is just a powerful person. She's a conqueror. When she finds out that the SSG is replacing, you know, the warlord system, the warlord system is being abolished, she says, why are we worried? The reason why they had me be a warlord in the first place is because we are strong. So she's ready to go. She's not worried about anyone opposing the Kuja pirates. And I believe that's because Boa is a strong individual and she probably has conqueror's coding. Now, I know a lot of people think that Boa just has conquerors and doesn't have coding, but the way that Oda has been pushing these coders, this advanced Conqueror's Haki, infusing your Conqueror's Haki into your attacks. For Boa to have Conquerors at this late in the game be this relevant, I think that she definitely has this ability. And from what Kaido said, only the strong have this ability. So it's looking kind of dark for Kobe unless he has help, which is what I think is going to happen. I don't think that Kobe, even though he's grown a lot, the odds are stacked against him. This could be a big moment for him. And even though he trained with the Marine hero Garp himself, I really don't believe that he could win by himself. Not yet. Future Kobe, Admiral Kobe, sure. But I think Fujitora is going with Kobe. Now, I know Fujitora was patched up last time we saw him. He got into it with Sabo and things like that. But I think that Fujitora is the perfect matchup for Boa. Her Devil Fruit just does not work on him. And he's also just a powerful individual. So I could see some of the admirals going with some of the SSG or some of the other Marine officials to these warlords. You may be wondering why I feel that way, and it's because of the conversation that Akainu and Kizaru had at the beginning of Wano. So they talked about the possibilities of interfering in this Wano affair. Kizaru said, "Do you want me to go?" And Akainu answered him. He was like, "No, we don't have the forces right now. We don't have the military power to go and interfere in this affair at Wano." Why is that? Because they need the forces they have to go after the warlords. They need to go capture them. So I believe due to the conversation that him and Kizaru had, the admirals will probably be involved in some of these matchups, and they're going to need to be. Like Boa is a powerful person. Admiral probably needs to be there. Mihawk, a powerful person, and Admiral probably needs to be there. Speaking of Mihawk, that's the next person I want to talk about. But before that, I want to talk about the outcome of the Boa, Kobe, and maybe Fujitora situation, depending on if Fuji is there. I do believe that Boa is going to get captured. I've said this before, but Boa getting captured makes a ton of sense narratively, so she can finally have an opportunity to end things in her own way. She has this huge problem with men because of her former slavery, her and her sisters. And because of that, I believe this is a good opportunity if she gets captured to get the revenge she needs in the right way. This is a way for her to have character progression if she's still going to be relevant in the story and grow to be somebody that doesn't have to hate men the way that she does. And I believe her getting captured is a great way to keep pushing that and involve her in the final war. Now, Mihawk is tricky. So this conversation really got brought up in this Twitter space because people were saying that Mihawk was going to run away and that he was going to go to the red-haired pirates. Now, I think this is probably the most ridiculous thing I've heard in a while. That literally does not fit into his character. He has been a lone pirate this entire time, traveling by himself this entire time, and he even reacted in a way that makes it seem like he's gonna run off and he's gonna be on his own. He says, "I haven't been chased in a long time," and he was excited about this. He is not running to Shanks. That just doesn't make sense. I can't possibly see that being the case. This doesn't make sense for his character. It would completely change everything that we already know about him, and it would make him look kind of silly, I'll be honest. I believe what's going to happen is Mihawk is probably going to fight an admiral and he's probably going to get away. Now, I don't think that he's going to outright defeat an admiral. I don't think the fight's going to go that long, but I do feel like Mihawk's going to do enough to the point where the fight kind of like ends with like a stalemate type of thing, or he can get away. As far as the rest of the warlords, like Kuma is fucked. I mean, like we've seen what Kuma's got going on. Buggy's definitely probably going to get captured, bro. Like Buggy's always getting captured. He's probably going to get captured again. There's not much to talk about there. Like, I mean, it is what it is. But as far as the SSG go, I think that them matching the force of what the warlords could do overall makes the most sense. Like, it makes sense for that to be the case because, like I said, if you had the SSG and they couldn't match the force of what the warlords were capable of, there was no point in abolishing them in the first place. Like, the Marines wanted to create something that could match the overall force of what the warlords could do, but they wanted it to be something they could control. And now they have that. They have something that they can honestly control themselves and that they can use themselves in a way that's efficient for them. In closing, I really do believe that the two main things that are going to happen, Mihawk's going to fight an admiral. I could see an admiral probably getting injured, maybe Mihawk gets injured. He's going to go on a chase, do his lone pirate thing. Boa's going to get captured to narratively fit in with her story. Buggy's definitely getting captured. Kuma is punished. Doflamingo's already captured. So I think the only thing that's going to happen with Dolphy is he's getting out of Impel Down at some point. Like, that's going to happen. I don't know how, but he has too much relevance in the story and he still has information. So I think that he's going to be able to get out of Impel Down at some point. Oda's going to make that happen. I think maybe if Kaido does lose in Wano and get captured, him going to Impel Down and then breaking out of Impel Down, also breaking Dolphy out, is something that could happen. I think that would be super, super cool. Like, imagine Kaido's like, all right, cool, I lost. Let them take me in because I know that I can escape this prison and I can get Dolphy, someone that was important to me, important enough for Jack to go against a former fleet admiral and an admiral and trying to get out. He's that important to Kaido. So it would make sense if Kaido does go to Impel Down and he does escape, that he would help Joker, Dolphy escape as well. That's kind of my mindset on him. But all in all, I think the SSG versus the Warlords is going to be something to where it's like, all right, I can see that the SSG can match this might. That just makes the most sense narratively to me. I don't think Oda would have it to where they weren't as powerful enough to go against the Warlords. That just doesn't make sense to me. But these are just my thoughts, and I want to know all of yours. So make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you think is going to happen in these matchups. Do you think the SSG is supposed to match the Warlords? All of that. And as always, I hope you're always staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Synsei Inc., and I will see you all in the next video.